All right, tubers, Matt M. Roy back once again. Ooh, got to turn this air conditioning down a little bit. We are here in southern Pennsylvania. Let me see, looking at this exit, exactly where we are. We just left Dillsburg. We ate at the Wolf Diner in Dillsburg, right off of US 58. Great food there. We've done that a few times in the past. We're in Hanover, York Springs, so we're like in southern Pennsylvania right now. Guess what we're just passing? Big Lerville. So Pam and Mark, if you see this, I'm sorry, we're just not going to have time, unfortunately, to stop. But
appointments.
yeah, we got appointments. We got to get back home. We've been gone now for what, 2 weeks?
Almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks. So we just need to get back home.
I've got dental appointments. I got a bunch of appointments.
Yeah, and I got to get back to work. The Christmas house, fine German tradition. Well, the only Christmas German tradition that I know is Krampus. Scaring German children for about 150 years now, I think. If you guys remember that movie Krampus, that was terrible. Krampus is the Christmas demon that is the opposite of Santa Claus, kind of like the Antichrist is the opposite of Christ. And when you lose the Christmas spirit, he basically comes and he slays you. He basically kills you. So, yeah, I don't know.
Pretty neat. I don't know how they came up with it.
I don't either. I really don't think that that I'd be interested in learning more about German Christmas traditions, but I'm sure they're not all like that. Who do we got here? Wake up. Come on. I don't know why this is doing that. Well, oh, there we go. Chipotle, hey Matt, drive safely. Krampus is an anti-Santa. Exactly. The opposite of Santa. Just like the Antichrist is the opposite of Christ. Exactly. But it is a gorgeous day. We thought that the weather was going to be bad. The weather forecast pretty much from New York down to Virginia, so there's going to be about like a 50 to 60% chance of rain all day, or at least intermittent, in other words, on and off during the day. And that was as of, what, a day or two ago? A couple of days ago. But fortunately, the cold front that was over the East Coast moved out last night, and it left us with beautiful weather, hardly a cloud in the sky. Probably turn this around in a couple minutes to show you what I'm talking about. Tighten this up a little bit. I got this new mount, which actually works very well when it's properly tightened. There we go. All right, so you guys don't see me shaking all around. So let me give you an idea of what we did when we were up there. We did do a lot of resting. It was really nice because when I'm at home, I'm constantly in go mode. I'm out looking for computers. I'm making, constant YouTube content, which I did while I was up there, but I tried to tone it down just a little bit. And of course, it was really fun anyway. We went and we visited it was funny. Was it on Friday that they went to the... Saturday they went on a trip up this, what river was it? St. Lawrence River in
Bulk Castle
in upstate New York. That was my aunt and my uncle and my cousins. So they asked us to go ahead and look after their dogs. So after that big community sale that a lot of you have probably seen by now, the big haul that I got from that, we came home and then we went over to my aunt's trailer and we took care of their 2 dogs and their cat. Let them outside, let them play, because they're cooped up inside and dogs really need to be able to roam, use the bathroom, whereas cats are really independent. I mean, they can stay inside for a couple days by themselves. They'll eat the food you give them. They'll crap in the litter box.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, right. But that was fun. We had a lot of fun doing that, and yes, I did get a lot of walking in. Not as much as I would have liked to. We did a lot of fellowshipping, a lot of visiting with my aunt and the neighbors, and had a lot of fun doing that.
We visited my parents and my brother's graves.
That's right. We did walk up to the cemetery, which is at the top of the hill right outside of Greene, and we visited the grave. So we got, even though we didn't get a lot of walking in, it was a lot of hard walking, a lot of hills going up and down. So that kind of counts for something as well. But yeah, my grandparents are buried there. My one uncle that passed away is buried there. So, it's really nice to visit family as much as possible. And I think as a society, we don't value our extended family as much as we used to in years past. You gotta think about it. 100 years ago, it was not uncommon for 3 generations to be sharing one house, and now we're all spread out. We hardly get a chance to see each other a lot of times. So it was really fun. I really had a good time.
And we visited my sister to talk.
Oh yeah, and also you guys, if you watched the vlog that I did from Wellsville, we also went up to visit my Aunt Karen, and she's doing well. She's getting a lot more energy than she'd had before, and it was bittersweet to see the town because a lot of the industry has moved out. They lost one. I know Lundstrom is one of the main businesses in the town. There was another one, but that one has since gone out, so I think Lundstrom is the only one that's left. And of course Kmart is gone, and a lot of you guys that live in that area probably already know about that. But other than that, everything else we're doing just fine. The Buick has been a trooper. I'll tell you guys, I have put almost 2,000 miles on this LeSabre, and she's doing just great. I've changed the oil, so I give you a little bit of a status update on the LeSabre. Really haven't hardly had to do anything to this car other than the oil change. I've done 2 oil changes, and that's pretty much about it. Really no other repairs I've needed to do to this at all. No weird noises. The only thing that I may have to do, I notice around 75 miles per hour, I get a little shimmying from the tires, and more specifically in the steering wheel. So I think one or both of the front tires are out of alignment. So probably gonna have to take that into my buddy Travis when we get home at Dillinger's and have them rebalance the tires. Now, I'm kind of on the fence about what I want to do because these tires are about 75-80% worn. They're older. They're like from 2015. So what I might actually do is just bring it in there and have them just replace the tires, because when they replace tires, they have to balance them anyway. So we'll see how that goes. It's an expense that I really don't want to have to fork out right now, but if safety is a concern, then I'm not going to have much of a choice. You guys might be able to feel it now. You feel it a little bit?
No, because I'm not going 75. I'm going 70.
I felt it a minute ago. Yeah, and it's not too bad. It's not like it's going to shake the car apart this. No. But you can definitely feel that they're slightly out of balance. And that's typical. When these tires are probably when they were all back in 2015. So that's pushing 5 years. So again, nothing too uncommon. Oh wow, we got let's see, we got 6 watchers, 3 likes. Czech Boulay said I don't know how to pronounce it. Belsinkel is the actual German saint of Christmas, a little different than Saint Nick and more crotchety. Well, kind of no surprise there, I guess, but that's very interesting. I didn't know that. George Stewart says, hello guys, drive safe. And Stephen Barber says, hey Matt, be safe. Thank you very much. I tell you, I probably shouldn't have eaten such a big lunch, but I figured that it would take us to home, because this morning, right before we left, I had a cinnamon apple muffin that we bought from Perkins, and then probably about a half an hour ago now, we stopped at Wolf's Diner, and I had a bowl. I was bad. I had a strawberry milkshake to start. I had a bowl, which was like a big cup of the vegetable beef soup, and I had the spaghetti and meatballs. So that'll take me the rest of the day. I probably won't eat anything for the rest of the day. Mom had the soup and chocolate malt, right? Chocolate malt, which is actually really good, because other than Sonic, there are really no places around where we live where you can actually get malts of any kind.
I haven't had that in a long time.
And I don't even think Dairy Queen does malts anymore. They used to.
I never looked. I don't know.
Boy, I could feel my pants tightening up a little bit. I'm really gonna have to get back on the wagon when we get home. We've been eating kind of crappy here. The funny thing is, I know that my waist has not expanded at all, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if I'm up to maybe like 225. I don't think I'm any more than that, because if I was, then my pants wouldn't be fitting at all. But now that we're getting back home, I should be able to get better on my lifestyle change. Get back to what I normally eat and stay away from the high sugar and the high fat foods. Though I must say, ever since I started eating a little bit junkier, eating ice cream and eating things with butter on it, I've been more regular. And that's been, I know you guys may not want to hear this, but that is a big problem when you eat healthy. Fiber, believe it or not, can do the opposite of what most people think. A lot of times fiber is used to help, move things along through the digestive system. But if you're not eating any butter or any of the fats to mix in with that fiber, then you can get really, really constipated. And that's what's happened to me for a really long time now. So I'm gonna have to amend my diet a little bit more when we get home. Maybe add a little bit more fats. I'm thinking maybe just eating even something as simple as eating a little piece of bread with some butter, or maybe for dinner, instead of having the oatmeal, I'll eat like a regular meal and have some vegetables, and I'll put some butter on that, because what I really need to do is increase the fat content in my diet, and my last test results really confirmed that. I mean, my cholesterol was 138, which is actually really, really low, so I can afford to add a little more fat into the diet. Chipotle says, the old A&W fast food chains used to do floats and malts. Very much miss them in the Virginia area. Yes, I do.
Malts.
Huh?
I love malts. I haven't had one in years.
She does. And I do remember the A&Ws. We had one in Chesapeake Square Mall when we first moved up, and they all went out for some reason. They are still in Canada, though. I know that they're very famous in Canada. When I used to eat burgers and French fries, they're one of my go-to places. They used to have a mushroom Swiss burger with bacon on it, 2 beef patties, and it would be like the beef, the Swiss cheese, the beef, and a piece of American cheese on top, then the mushrooms and onions on the very top of that, and I think they would toast the bun, and I can't remember if it was a garlic bun or not. It might have been, and that was the best burger I ever had from a fast food restaurant.
I wonder if any of you viewers remember vanilla egg creams. They're from the New York area.
Anybody out there remember vanilla egg creams? Thank you. Let me see if I can get Mom in here. It's going to be really hard. You guys can see a little bit of her. Do you guys remember those vanilla egg creams?
If anybody remembers them. They might be too young.
Chipotle says, Matt, that was the exact burger my dad would get that put a side of chili cheese fries. We would go to Patrick Henry Mall to eat there.
Oh,
That does sound good.
that sounds good.
I'll tell you a quick story. Before I started my lifestyle change, and I worked at Sonic back was 2002 to like 2006. My go-to meal for lunch when I would eat lunch there was a Sonic-sized chili cheese fry and an extra long chili cheese coney with extra onions and extra ketchup on it, and it was delicious. But that is one of the most fattening things that you can eat. Maybe only aside to maybe pizza and if you ate ice cream every day. But I mean, that stuff it's okay in moderation. Maybe have it once a month, twice a month. But for me, I was eating that crap every day, and I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. When I first started working at Sonic in 2002, I was a big guy. I was every bit of 270, maybe 280 pounds. But by the time I left Sonic in the middle of 2006, I was probably 330, 340. So over the course of 4 years eating that junk, I was able to easily gain 60 or 70 pounds. So you just got to be careful. All that stuff in moderation is okay. Unless, of course, you can't control it. It's the same thing for like alcoholics, drug addicts, all that kind of stuff. If you can't control yourself, it's better just not to eat it at all. That's true, Chet. It says lots of delicious foods are the most fattening, and that's the problem with the human palate. We do. We tend to enjoy and indulge in the high fat, high sugar, high salt foods because that's what our human palate likes. And there's actually, not that I believe in evolution, but there is an evolutionary reason for that. Back before the modern era, when we used to live in huts and we used to live, in an agrarian society, food was scarce. Many times there was a lot of famines, there was a lot of droughts, a lot of things. A lot of times you just couldn't get the nutrients that your body needed. So your body, at the times that you could get it, would crave the things that would put weight on you. And that's why I believe even to today, we crave those high fat, high sugar, high salt foods. And it's just kind of a leftover from a time when we just didn't have a lot of those things available to us. And again, not that I necessarily believe in evolution, but your body has to adapt to the climate. And nowadays, fast food is so plentiful. I mean, you can go out to McDonald's and get 5 hamburgers for $5, $1 a burger. And I've seen people do that. I used to eat 3, what were they called? Can't remember. I don't think they were McDoubles at the time. I think when I used to eat this, they were just the double cheeseburgers in McDonald's. You used to get the double cheeseburgers that were on the Don menu. I would think nothing of eating 2 of those and a McChicken or 3 of those at once. And oh yeah. I used to do that all the time. I would go out at night and eat it. I would never bring it home because I was so embarrassed about my diet.
That.
Oh yeah, 3, maybe even 4 at a time. I mean, it was something that I'm not proud of, but it's something that I want you guys to know because you're not the only ones out there that can be suffering with this. I mean, a lot of people overeat. George Stewart says, egg cream's delicious. So, water, milk, and chocolate, is that what it was?
I got vanilla egg cream because I don't think it had chocolate in it. I didn't think it did. It was not chocolate.
Interesting.
I know they have chocolate egg creams, but I had what they call vanilla egg creams.
I've never had an egg cream.
Yeah.
Never. I've seen them.
It's popular more towards the city.
Okay. So that's probably why. Honestly, that's probably why I never had one.
Well, they have them at that Route 52 diner, but they have chocolate. And I don't think I've ever had a chocolate one.
Yeah, and see, I don't like chocolate. Even Mom knows that. I'll have anything with strawberry, anything with vanilla is my favorite, but I'm not much when it comes to chocolate ice cream. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, tastes change, and if people aren't ordering it anymore, then chances are they won't keep it on the menu. Let's see if we got anything else. George Stewart said soda, water, milk, chocolate, and syrup.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
mine never looked like chocolate, but maybe
Well, it could have been that it was really diluted. You got to remember, with all those ingredients, maybe they just didn't put a heck of a lot of
I
chocolate
never thought
in
of it
it.
as chocolate being it's called vanilla egg cream, so I don't get it. I'll have to look into it.
I tell you, this car is filthy. We've been traveling so much. I was able to go to a do-it-yourself car wash in Green and wash the car, but being it was like one of those cheap little self-serve ones, they didn't have a water filter on the hose. It's one of those pressure washers that you turn the knob to put the spray with the soap on, and then you turn it to rinse it. It washed it just fine, but it left a lot of water spots, and the rain came yesterday and took care of it. But just driving the few hundred miles we've done so far, the car looks like it's totally filthy again. So this is going to need a full detail inside and out by the time we get home.
Which we did before we left.
How does Mom like driving the red beast? LOL, Stephen Barber
nice.
says.
Oh, our drive's very nice.
She loves it. As a matter of fact, she had a. Do you have the cruise control on? Oh, okay. She had a Buick Park Avenue, a 97, which is basically the same car, same engine, same frame, just a slightly longer, larger body. And same thing, 3,800 platform. Yep.
Favorite car. My favorite car I had.
Yeah, Ruben, I see your comment there. You don't have to keep repeating it. He's reminding me about the going to Busch Gardens to ride the roller coaster. And I do fully intend to do that. I just, again, I need to wait until my ears get better. I can't do that when I have the Eustachian tube problem. It's just too dangerous. I literally could need to go to the hospital after that because the balance of my ears is off. And if I was going on a roller coaster now where it goes the loop to loop like that, the pressures would just drive me crazy. Even going up and down in the hills here is causing me to have a lot of ear pain right now. Amy Valancourt says, I am here. Love the video did at Animal Adventure Park. Oh my goodness. That was a couple of years ago. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That was fun.
It was. I really wish we could have went back this time, but just didn't have enough time. And honestly, the weather really wasn't that great when we were up there. It was cloudy quite a few days, right? And it was pretty cool as well. Maybe we'll do that again.
Now they have a new giraffe. You know, we went up when Taj was there. Yeah. Now they had she had an April and another giraffe.
What's the giraffe's name?
I'm not sure.
Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Oh, did you hear that, people? I knew that they had another
they moved
giraffe.
Taj to another zoo. That's what we have a friend that's really into it. Moved it to another zoo, Taj, and that because the April had another baby.
Okay, so they had to make room. That's kind of sad when you think about it. Finally had to leave the mother.
I know.
And I felt bad when I did that video. I honestly didn't even know a lot about it at that point, so it was kind of a learning experience for me too. And they've actually expanded it since. They added a safari, an African safari section to it. I think they were going to add like a Australian, kind of like an outback section too for those kind of animals. We're just crossing the border into Maryland. Be careful, that goes down to 55 miles per hour here. It's one of those, the safety zones, they call it. And, yep, it doesn't say it right here. State law, no texting. It's coming up here. It's what they call a safety zone, which means that there are cops everywhere, and if you were to get caught speeding here, I think the fine is like doubled. So just be forewarned if you're on 15 South in Maryland.
Right, it's 55, I see it.
Yeah, they'll get you real quick. Oh, here we go. Now they have Azizi is the name. The baby, they got Taj, a girlfriend. Her name is Johari. Wow. Difficult names, I'm telling you.
So is the new giraffe a girl or a boy?
I guess.
I think it might be a boy. I think that's what...
Yeah, I think it's a boy. I'm pretty sure. Said no, Taj is there still. They just moved April in Azizi in with Taj and Barn 2.
I thought the Taj one. Somebody told me Taj.
And Olive's really small. I can't imagine having 3 giraffes in there. 2 is really the limit.
Well, they had the April and Taj in one, and Oliver, if that's the father, in another.
That's right.
But
when we were there, it was April and Taj.
Yeah, and the father. Remember, they all 3 were outside, or at one point, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think they all shared that barn. I think one of them was in it. The father was in it.
I think it was right in school.
And yep, the baby is a boy. We got to get back there next time we go up. Paul in Arizona, greeting Arizona. Say hi to Mom for me.
Hello.
Nice, thank you. Oh, Mom's waving. Mom's waving. Oh, here we go. That fell through. Taj was to go to North Carolina. They didn't meet Jordan's standards. Okay.
Oh, I heard. That's what I heard. He was going someplace else.
You got to have very special setup for giraffes. You got to have, I think it has to be climate controlled. Has to be a certain size for them, and I'm sure they eat a lot. So there's a lot of money involved in supporting animals like that. So we're at 25 minutes. I know I was buffering a few minutes ago. Remember, we're driving, so chances are there are areas where the connection isn't going to be so great. Let me see, what are we at right now? I forgot to reset the tripometer. Usually I'll reset the tripometer when we go back and forth just to check the actual mileage. But honestly, now that I'm using the Waze, it tells you how long your trip is, how many miles, and then it's basically you can save your trip when it's all done, so you can review it later on, maybe check and see your mileage and things like that. If you ever get a chance, and they're not paying me to say this, but I will tell you that the Waze app is a lot better than using just like Google Maps, because it'll even tell you if there are police coming up, things like dead animals, roadkill, and
Cars
it even
on
tells
the side.
that's right, cars, if there are cars on broken down on the side of the road. So it's a great thing to have. So if you guys have a smartphone, it works with Android and iOS. Waze, W-A-Z-E. Just go to your Android App Store or the iTunes Store. How are the gas prices over there? In New York, we were paying about $2.74 a gallon. We actually haven't gotten gas since we were in New York. What do you still got? About a half a tank. This thing is 6, so a very big V6, actually as big as some V8 engines are. That's one reason I love the Buick LeSabre. For its size, you almost can't get better mileage. I mean, this is a big car. This is technically a full-size car. It is front-wheel drive. It's got a lot of power, a lot of actual storage space, and the mileage is really decent with this vehicle. Chatters from all over the world donated so they could build Barn 2 in Keep Taj.
Oh, nice.
That's
I
really
did not
cool.
know that. Awesome.
That's really nice. And you know what? I get it. I get that they want to keep him. I still think it would be nice to be able to maybe get him to another zoo eventually, because then other people could appreciate him. Because even though Animal Adventure Park is a beautiful park, it's not really located in the most convenient area. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally, it's on the way to Albany, but it's maybe like a half an hour from Binghamton, which is the largest city around. And when we were there, it's down a lot of country roads, and there really isn't even a supermarket in the area. There are a couple of general stores. There's a gas station in Harpersville, and that's it. The big claim to fame of Harpersville is the golf course. So, and I guess I can kind of understand the allure of going into the country and visiting a zoo. But in this day and age, a lot of people just don't have the time to travel into the middle of nowhere. So we'll see what happens. From what I understand, they're still trying to work things out, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Windy.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. Mom's like going like this with the steering wheel, and you look outside. I'm going to turn you guys around for a minute, and I'll show you what it looks like out here. It's really beautiful. There's a gorgeous house on the hill here. I don't know if you guys are going to get to see it. I think you probably saw it for a second there. This is South 15, just over the Maryland border, heading towards Interstate 270. So this will basically take us to the Capitol Beltway, Washington, D.C. area. And it's just a beautiful drive here. Once again, though, if you do come around here, you have to be very careful with your speed. You definitely don't want to be speeding here. There's some horses out there. Hey, everybody, check out the Fiat 500.
Yeah, it's cute.
That might be in a Barth, is it? No, I think that's just a regular Fiat 500. Yeah, I mean, this is really a nice, quiet road. Usually, this is more traffic than I think I've ever seen on this stretch of 15. Usually, there just really isn't any traffic. One thing you may want to do before we get to 270, you probably should gas up, because one thing I remember, once you get off of here and on to Interstate 270, there really isn't a lot of places to get fuel until you get to Interstate 95. So
you know what it said over there? It said next left, covered bridges.
I remember that.
I wonder if that's the one we went on that GPS took us in the backwoods there. We wound up over a single lane wooden bridge.
No.
Remember
was it
that?
here?
I don't remember where it was.
No. Where was that? No, I think that was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. But it's funny how it had a sign saying next left covered bridges.
I'll tell you, there are a lot of covered bridges left in the United States now. Not that you want to go over them with anything bigger than something like a Buick LeSabre, because they are not necessarily in the best repair. And a lot of the covered bridges have a wood bridge deck, and they're not even tacked down.
No.
And so when you go over them, you can actually feel the clank, clank. Exactly. And I think the reason they did that is back then, when these were built in the 1800s, periodically they'd rot out, so it'd make it easy just to swap out the bridge deck if you had to. Paul from Arizona asks, do you guys run with a radar detector? No, we don't. And the reason we don't is in the state of Virginia, they are illegal. Radar detectors, laser detectors, if you have one in Virginia and you get stopped by a police officer, they won't give you a ticket. They won't arrest you. What they will do, they will literally rip that radar detector out of your car. No. What they'll do, they'll throw it on the ground and they will stomp on it. They will break it into a million pieces, put it in a plastic bag, and then give it back to you. That is what they do, and I have confirmed that. I've known quite a few people that not only lived in Virginia, but more specifically the ones that were visiting and didn't know about that. They had that happen to them, and they weren't cheap. This was probably back in the 90s, so they probably lost $80 to $100.
I didn't know that.
Chet Boulay says he can vouch for that. Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's really weird that actually happens. Car that was a nice road trip car. There are times that I do miss that town car, and I'm going to turn you guys around so you can see me again real quick. And it's funny you should mention that, because at the Ford dealership close to my house, they have had I believe it's like a 2000 or 2001 Lincoln Town car sitting in the back in where they put the trade-ins that are going to be going to auction. And I've had my eye on that car for a while now. It's just been sitting there, and normally by now they would have sent that to an auction. I'm not sure why they haven't. I've actually been thinking about flipping the car. So when we get back there, I'm going to go up to the dealership and I'm going to go into the service center. I'm going to ask them about that, find out what's up with that car. It probably was a trade-in that somebody, that they trade in, and of course it's too old. They're not going to go ahead and put it in the used car section. A lot of times you can go into the service center and talk to the service writer and make them an offer for those cars. And a lot of times they'll take it, and it won't be that much. I'll tell you a quick story. My dad got my first car from our local Chevy dealership back in like 1998. My 1987 Chevy Monte Carlo was one of those traded in cars that was supposed to go to auction. And he talked to his boss, and I think he got, what did he get that car for? Like $200 or $300. So they won't always do it. Believe me, they won't. He worked there. But if you're really nice and you know how to talk to these people, sometimes they are so motivated to get these cars out that they're willing to just take practically nothing for them. So we'll see what happens. I'm not making any promises. That one may or may not work out, but I've been toying with the idea for a while now of Dad and I flipping a car, because he has the knowledge and I have the muscle. So we can maybe pool our money together, get a car, do some minor repairs to it. And yes, of course, if we do that, I'll do like I did with the PT Cruiser and film most of it. Hopefully this one works out a lot better than that did. And I think that would make a pretty interesting vehicle. Let me know, give me a thumbs up if you guys like that idea. And I really shouldn't complain, because, the PT Cruiser was not a total disaster. Dad and I did add value to that vehicle. And I wound up selling it, and on that one I kind of broke even, but at least I didn't lose money. That's the big thing. Yeah, I'd have to agree. The LeSabres and the Centuries are definitely tanks, but not as much as the Lincoln Town cars. The Lincoln Town cars are much bigger, and to me, they don't handle quite as well. Now, my dad will argue this point all day long. He likes rear-wheel drive cars. The Buick LeSabre and the Century platform are front-wheel drive vehicles, and I think that they handle better. They're just more responsive. But again, they're not as well built. They're not full frame. They're unibody cars. So in the long run, something like a Lincoln Town Car is probably going to last you longer, whereas something like my LeSabre, I have 140, almost 141,000 miles on it. By the time this has 200,000 miles, I'm probably going to have to start replacing suspension parts, ball joints, tie rod ends, boot shoes, stuff like that. Whereas something like a Lincoln Town Car that's a full frame vehicle, they use those as limousines. Whoa. And they can go 500,000 miles sometimes without needing hardly any suspension work. Maybe a tire rod end or a ball joint, but they're definitely the more solidly built cars. But that does not mean that I don't like the LeSabre. I absolutely love this vehicle.
Oh, I still have a Town Car.
Yeah, Mom still has the Town Car, the 03.
About half the mileage of this one.
That's right, in 03, and hers has almost about 80,000 miles. Chet Belay says, flipping a car would be a great idea. I could see many super chats coming in the future if you decide to do that flipping of a car. Interesting. And like I said, nothing set in stone. In Virginia, this time in the summer, it gets really hot. So I don't think I'm going to want to work on a car outside in the heat. So probably going to be more towards the fall. I'm thinking maybe September, October time. Paul says, flipping cars is very tricky business. Not sure in Virginia, but if you sell more than 2 or 3 cars in a year, you need a dealer license. I'm assuming you probably mean Arizona. In Arizona. In Virginia, it's a dealer license. When you hit that 7th car, that's when you need it. But here's a trick to that. If Dad and I are doing this together, that's 12 cars, because half the time I'll buy the car and it'll be in my name. The other half of the time we'll buy the car and it'll be in his name. So we each get 6 cars. Believe me, I can't see us doing more than 6. I mean, that would be a real struggle, honestly. But again, you never know. If it winds up being lucrative and it's something that I can handle, I would love to do it, because I watch a lot of these YouTubers, Big Al's Automotive, Uberman is another one. These guys started out, real small, going to, these auctions and Copart and buying these vehicles and flipping them, and now that's their livelihood. I mean, they make their living flipping these cars. If you guys have ever seen Big Al's Automotive, his channel interests me a little bit more. He's not like a real large YouTuber, but what he does is he goes to these government auctions, and he gets these cars for $300-400. Cars like this. He buys a lot of LeSabres, Centuries, like maybe anywhere between like 99 to 04s, and he gets them for like $400 or $500. Sometimes even less, sometimes $200 or $300. And he takes them home, does minor work to them, maybe replacing a windshield. He details them. I think a couple of them he had to do like some body work, like he had to change a fender and get that painted. But he flips these cars, and usually on average he might make $500-600 per car, and to me that's really appealing, because they're really not doing a heck of a lot of work. And when I say that sometimes he has to do body work, that might be 1 out of 30 or 40 cars that he buys. So normally, there isn't a lot of work involved at all. So we'll see if I can get Dad on board. Oh, I see we have a super chat. Chet Boulay sent $5. Thank you so much. Let me read that. It says, safe travels the rest of the way home. Thanks for always interacting with your viewers and providing great content. Thank you very much. I always appreciate that. And yeah, if I start getting a lot more super chats and get this channel to where it builds up a little more income, then I can maybe use that to purchase a car or do something else interesting. You never know. man, these people, did you
I
see
know.
that?
Yeah, but there's an entrance there.
Oh, okay.
There's
These,
a long entrance.
these
Scared
people
me.
are crazy. This car was making a U-turn coming from the other direction, and it was like, I don't know if you guys saw it in the back there, it was like coming right in. It looked like it was coming in our lane. But right to the side, there's like a really short entrance lane there, but it's like half the
Right.
size of the normal lane.
Well, they actually came out of an intersection. There's a highway, but there's all these crossroads that come into the highway.
Oh, so he wasn't coming from the other direction?
No, he was coming from the one of the side roads.
Oh, okay. He was coming from one of the
Yeah, I'm
side
pretty
roads.
sure.
See, the way I saw it, I thought...
Intersection. See what I mean? Look at all these.
All right, everybody. Sorry about that. I know I was gone for quite a few minutes. YouTube crashed.
Junction 2 miles.
Yep, that's it. We crashed, and I don't know. I had to restart YouTube like 3 times, but finally got it back. We lost everybody but 3 people. That was for a trooper. Who's still here? Yeah, we'll try for a couple more minutes, but I think I'll have to end it here shortly because Mom's going to need help navigating from this point. We're just about to get on Interstate 270, which is going to take us to the Capitol Beltway.
Yeah, I agree.
Though luckily we're hitting it at a good time. It's not rush hour. It's only like 12:30, so we should be fine. I don't think we're hitting any traffic there at all. But that being said, it's still usually a heavily congested area, even at the best of times. There we go, 270 to 70, 1 mile. And you gotta remember, you're just following signs to Washington, D.C., and then to 95. So let's see right here. You want to see how crazy this is? I'm going to turn you guys around here. You guys will get to see this. Look at these junctions. So we got 270 to 70. And you're just following, yeah, you're just following 270. They're like 4, there's 4 things intersect here, 270, 70, 40, and 180. This is what we have to deal with, everybody. I'm telling you, if you drive anywhere on the East Coast in these like states, Pennsylvania, Maryland, even down into Virginia, this is the craziness you have to deal with. I mean, there are just so many turnoffs, intersections. It's crazy. There we go. 70, Hagerstown, Baltimore.
Right here.
No, you go straight.
Straight?
You go straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was 270.
It is, but then it turns into 70 and then to 270.
Oh, okay. Washington. I can follow Washington.
Yeah, that's it. You guys see it right there? It says
Yep.
270 South
I'm
Washington.
fine,
That's
as
what
long
we
as
have
I know
to
we're going
follow.
Washington.
I'm telling you, Chet, it really gets confusing after a while. You know, I've done this trip. We've done this trip, maybe
Gosh, I don't have any
50
time.
times.
Quite a bit.
And I still get confused. The real stupid part is it changes because over the years they've improved the highways, they've rerouted the highway in this area, so sometimes it's not the same from year to year.
And then you go by the GPS after a change and it gets all confused.
That's right. I remember.
Washington and around Washington.
That's it. And again, the big problem is like before, and I'll tell you this, the best invention ever was smartphones, because we used to use the old regular GPSs. If you didn't update your maps every year, you would be lost, because once they changed that roadway, you would have no choice but update the map. If you didn't, then it would take you the old way, or it would just be confused. It would probably take you off the road somewhere. And the nice thing is with smartphones like this, with the Waze app or Google Maps, all that data is updated live. Like as soon as something changes on the highway, it's updated in those maps. And of course, you also get live traffic alerts with Waze.
Remember we messed up on the way? It told us to get off, and we said, "No, why should we get off?" And it was because it was traffic.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's another nice thing about that Waze app. Thank you for reminding me about that. The Waze app will actively seek out problems with traffic. People that are stuck in traffic will report it to Waze. And what will happen is it'll integrate that into the app, and it'll reroute you to avoid that traffic.
Right.
And very few standalone GPSs do that, with the exception of some Garmin's, and I think a couple of the new TomToms. But That's why I always say, if you have a smartphone, use that. Now, you'd probably say, well, Matt, I don't want to run my battery down. Well, you know what? What I do, I have it plugged in to my cigarette lighter all the time. And that's how I get around that. So it's a good investment. You know, smartphones can be expensive, but it's well worth it, especially if you're traveling a lot. Stephen Barber said he saw the hood on the Beast. Yeah, funny you should mention that, because a little bit earlier when it was real windy out, I saw the hood kind of doing this, going up and
Did
down.
you?
I meant to check to make sure it was latched, but if it hasn't popped up by now.
Wow.
All right, everybody, I am back, but I am going to end this. Please continue to like and subscribe. Thank you again so much to, I think it was Chet Boulay that gave me the $5 super chat, and George Stewart gave $1.99. Good conversation. Please continue to like and subscribe.